Well, well, well. I looked back at the stream I did last night, and technically, it looked like things were okay for the most part. I've got a little bit of stuff that I still need to figure out, and I've got a few assets that I need to fix, and some assets I need to make. But I've got today and tomorrow off, so maybe I'll get some. Hopefully, today I want to get some work done on the yard before the rain rolls in later, and start sowing some ryegrass. And we're going to talk about what happened over the last 24 hours as soon as some people roll in. But we'll wait for some people to roll in before we get deep into the political topics, because I'm waiting for some people to. Honestly, I'm waiting to sample the vibe. I'm waiting to sample the vibe more than anything, because I feel like I can pretty much reliably predict what any given media figure might say about the election and what's happened over the last 24 hours. But really, what I care about more than anything is the reactions of people on the ground. I want to know how the MAGA feel right now, because I have this theory that they're going to be like, oh, well, shit, we won. Okay, because that seems to be how they're talking. That seems to be how their talking heads are talking. Although I was watching Steven Crowder last night on stream, and he was fucking. He seemed so angry. He seemed like angry that Trump was winning, but not angry at the fact that he was winning. I don't know how to put it, but it was very strange to witness. Um, but for the most part, everybody else that I got um, a look at pretty much seemed like they were like, okay, well, we won. Oh well. They seemed like, I don't know, dismissive of their own victory. It was very strange. I don't think the Trump people were expecting to win this year. I think they were expecting to lose it, and now that they have won, they don't really know what to do with it. But we'll see. Like I said, I'm interested in sampling the vibe from chat, so we'll have to wait for some people to scroll through. We'll have to wait for some skibbities to join up and see what they're saying. What are the people on the ground scrolling through YouTube Live and YouTube Shorts feed? What are they thinking about this situation? Hello, welcome to the stream. Greetings.
Hi, Kitty. Meow. Meow. Meow.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm wanting to sample the vibe a little bit, because last night was a pretty tremendous upset, I think, in terms of what people expected to happen. And I don't think the maggots really expected to win, and I think that they're probably going to be behaving a little bit differently than they did in 2016, because they were very self-righteous about their victory in 2016, and I don't know that they'll be as self-righteous about it this time, but we'll see. We will see. I scrolled and I'm stopping here for a rest. Well, welcome in. Enjoy. Enjoy your rest. Here's some coffee if you need it. I'll let you get a sip. Alrighty. Don't worry, I ain't got cooties. Kitty, I love you, but you make this commentary difficult. Well, like I said, we'll wait for some more people to scroll through, and then I'll look at the chat and we'll see how everybody feels about what happened last night. Personally, I feel pretty ambivalent, but we'll see. Maybe as Americans, we can all provide for our families. Do you think Trump's going to have that much of an effect on that? Because I don't really think he will. I don't think either president that was on the ballot this year had any intention of doing something for working families. Although maybe Trump is more likely to do it than Kamala. After all, presidents worry quite a bit about whether or not they're going to get reelected, right? And Trump doesn't have to worry about that now, because Trump is in his second term, right? He's ineligible to run again. So, let's see here. Held for review. Your cat is stupid. My cat's fine. My kitty is fine. Don't you worry about my kitty. Man, see, this is what I mean. This is 100% what I meant. I was curious as fuck about what the Trumpers would be saying when they got in here. Yeah, see, there. So we've already got one person in the chat that's screaming about Trump. I don't know if you guys are able to see it because all of their comments were getting hidden by the spam filter, but we've already got one person in here grousing for Trump, and I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna see a whole ton of that, but I think, you know what, maybe I will, because um, people were people were fucking screaming about Trump for the last month. People on both sides. People were screaming against him and for him, and I imagine that excitedness will it'll start to reach a crescendo at some point, right? People at some point are eventually going to realize, like, whoa, wait a minute, we won. Wait a minute, this means the next 4 years are going to be Trump. Oh shit. But right now, I get the sense that people are still in that, like, oh, wait a minute, we won? Huh? Kind of mindset. Why is my lighting so bad? Why is that doing that? Maybe that helps. Maybe it'll help a little bit. Hey, you wouldn't believe me if I say this, but just hear it out. I finally landed a kickflip. Well, that's cool. I guess. Who's screaming? The person you couldn't see because the spam filter caught their messages. That was who was screaming. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think that there was a whole shit ton of excitement revolving around the Trump presidency. But we'll see. We'll see. Who you like? Jill Stein. I would have voted Jill Stein if I could have voted this year, but I wasn't able to because I'm ineligible. I waited too long to register down here in Mississippi, and so that's that. My partner voted for Jill Stein, but I was not able to vote this year. So I liked her, but that doesn't make much of a difference. She didn't even get the 0.5% that you need to kind of get that extra funding and shit. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to the Green Party over the next 4 years. And it's really sad to me because I think the Green Party could win, and someone like Jill Stein could do a lot of really good work, but it would require a bunch of people in America getting over this idea of third parties being unelectable. And it's a problem that affects both sides. Both sides of the electoral dichotomy believe that there is just no way a third party can become successful. And the logic they use is so self-defeating. It's like, well, I could vote for a third party, but then, unless everybody else does, there's no point. And so I just, don't even bother. But it's like, if you voted for a third party and then you started telling everybody else to vote for a third party, eventually that would coalesce into a movement. That's how movements work. But it's so impossible to convince people of that. It's so impossible to just look back at history and show people this is how it worked other times in history when we've done this. Why can't we do it again? Because you're wearing a black dress, the lighting sucks. I mean, I'm outside right now. I'm in an outbuilding, so yeah, it's not exactly great now. Trump for the win. I mean, he did end up winning. Not only that, but he won the popular vote, which apparently hasn't been done for a very long time, in terms of like a Republican winning the popular vote as well as the Electoral College. That's a pretty rare thing, but this time Trump managed to do it. And I think it goes to show that I was right about saying that people care way more about economic issues and way more about what they remember the Trump presidency being like than they do about any of the social issues that the Democrats have been trying to push as their primary policy hedge. I think it just goes to show you that those things do not sell votes like they want them to. This sounds like a Kamala rally. Dude, please don't insult me. Oh my god, do I really sound zanned out? I like to think that I'm a bit more competent than that. I like to think that I'm a bit quicker speaker than Kamala Harris. Dude, if you actually listen to Kamala Harris, whether she's at a rally, in an interview, or it doesn't matter, she's always got this sort of like stoned, sort of like zanned out quality to her voice. And she always seems, even if she's at her rallies, she seems like she's just super high on downers and like she's really summoning up the ghost of some other person's energy, and she can't really perform it all that well. I like to think that I'm a faster talker than that. I like to think that I'm a bit more engaging than that. Kitty, lay at my feet, kitty. Just come on. He is a sweet kitty, but he's an annoying kitty. Because he just wants to exist on me fucking 24/7. Especially when I'm streaming. For whatever reason, he just wants to be up here, dude. He's like a little attention whore. But yeah, there's no way this sounds like a Kamala rally. There's no way this sounds like a Kamala rally. I'm far too self-aware and far too quick a speaker to ever be confused for Kamala seriously. And also, I'm way too broke. Dude, if I was fucking Kamala Harris, you know what I mean? Like, if I had whatever weird shit she's got, you know, don't you think I would be in... It's not like I'm, I'm way better off than some people, obviously, right? It's all in perspective. But I'm just saying, if this is like a Kamala rally, where's those Kamala millions? You ever send your nose hairs when you go to light a bowl? I do that fairly regularly. And I don't even have like long nose hairs or anything. They're just like a little bit of hair in everybody's nose, you know, and I always manage to catch it. I need to light the bowl on the other side of it. That's the key. Honestly, though, these clipper lighters are just not very good for lighting bowls because the flame that they put out is about twice as long as a big flame. Just not very good for bowls. I guess it'd be good if you had like a church warden's pipe. She's broke too. She had to give the money back she lost. What are you talking about? Are you talking about campaign contributions? What money did she have to give back that she lost? You're gonna have to catch me up on game on this one. This is some lore with which I am not familiar. But my understanding is that the Kamala Harris campaign generated something like $2.1 billion worth of campaign contributions and wasted that money on campaigning exclusively, from what I can tell, in Michigan and Pennsylvania, mostly Pennsylvania. She spent like the last month in PA, and what did she get to show for it? The fucking state went hard red. Jesus Christ, Phoebes. I got an all-nighter right now, and my friends are so freaked out trying to be damage control for them, and it's so stressful. Well, Ignore, I got to tell you something, and you don't have to listen to my advice, bud, because you know what? Like, we are not IRL friends, and I don't know your situation 100%, but you need to tell them that this is not something they need to be worried about. I'm a trans woman, and I live in Mississippi. I live in Mississippi. I live in the deepest of deep South states. I live in the state that everybody thinks of when they think of lynchings. And I'm not worried. Not only am I not worried, I literally feel no different than I did yesterday. In fact, I feel better. You know why? Because it's fucking over, finally. And I think, I was listening to Paul's ideology after their election coverage this morning. I was listening to that because I didn't catch it. I was already asleep. And he said something about identity politics died last night. And I think he's right. And at first I was like, damn, that could be scary. But then it occurred to me, wait a minute. No, that means that means that gay people are out of the spotlight. That means that gay people are no longer the target. That means that people aren't going to be focusing so hard on those issues, which is a good thing, because it means that we're not going to have to be in constant defense of our existence, which is pretty much the place that queer people were in during like the latter half of like the Obama presidency, and I would even say during most of the Trump presidency. Gay people had kind of gotten into this place where it was like, there were still people that weren't accepting, but most people were tolerant. You know what I mean? Like, I would say 90% of people were like, whatever, I don't understand it, but I'm tolerant. And now I'd say like it's like 65%. There's still a wide margin of support and tolerance for LGBTQ people, but um, there's less so, than there was perhaps during those times. Cat, I don't want you on me right now, and I will remove you every time you climb up. Okay. Hey, I don't know if you recognize me from Paul's chat, but I didn't know you had a channel. I'm so glad to see you. Oh, yeah, Mr. Flower, I recognize you. Hell yeah. Good to see you in here, bud. That's cool. I have, and some get it, some don't. It's hard to describe. I feel the same as you, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, it's not something we need to be worrying about, right? Is our worrying going to change anything about the situation? No. When you shower, do you prefer to use a loofah washcloth or just a bar soap? Weird question, but washcloth. I'm a washcloth kid. That's what my parents had growing up. That's what we always kept in my house. So it's just a habit I've gotten built up. But yeah, I was gonna say, you just need to ignore. You just need to tell them like this is not something you need to worry about. If here's another point you can bring up. If Trump really had all these intentions, all this crazy Nazi shit he wanted to do, why did none of it happen during his presidency? Why is it that it was during his presidency that a cop murdered a man right out in public in front of God and everybody, and the entire country rose up in protest? Why is it that those protests weren't completely destroyed by the might of the American military? If Trump is going to be this horrible authoritarian fascist dude that destroys everything in his path. Yeah, I understand that Trump allowed different states to mobilize the National Guard and shit, but did he actually use the Army Reserves or the Marines or anything against the United States people and its people? No. He pretty much stayed hands off of that conflict, other than to provide commentary and to just generally not give it his support. But they still happened. The people still rose up, and the people burned the fucking cities down for 6 months under Trump's fucking leadership, right? And I think that's a huge part of why, when people talk about why Trump lost in 2020, a lot of people talk about COVID, and I'm sure that had something to do with it. I think it had more to do with George Floyd. I think it had more to do with the absolutely vile rhetoric that was coming out of the right wing in the wake of the George Floyd murder. I think it was all down to the fact that people had come to associate at that time Donald Trump with this rising neo-Nazi tendency in America. And I think people still associate him with that on some level, but they don't maybe make that association as strongly as they used to. I prefer loofah or bar soap. Yeah, not me. She performed worse than Hillary. Oh yeah, way worse than Hillary, dude. Way worse. Hillary won the popular vote. She just lost the Electoral College. Kamala Harris couldn't even scoop the fucking popular vote. She was losing in states she could have won easily. I was talking about this last night on stream. I don't know if y'all can go back and watch it if you want to, but I was talking about this last night on stream. There is like this 3-state region where Kamala Harris could have she could have spent a bunch of money, and she could have made a big difference in Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska, and Kansas. Those states did not go that hardcore for Trump. They just didn't. They ended up going for him, but they were states that if she had campaigned hard in those 4 states, if she'd spent all that time she spent in Pennsylvania that ended up going to fucking Trump anyway, in those 4 states, she could have made up the difference. And if she'd spent if she'd spent the balance of her time in this campaign, when she wasn't campaigning, Kamala Harris should have been at the White House drafting legislation and trying to get her will done for the American people. And I think that's why she lost. Because people associate how their lives are the day they go to vote with whoever is in office at that moment. And if their life isn't going too great, if it seems like things are harder now than they were 4 years ago, and the VP of the person who's sitting in office right now is the person running, you're just not going to vote for that person. And that's true of people on both sides of the electoral dichotomy. That's true of centrists, that's true of Republicans, that's true of Democrats, that's true of everybody. Did I just scroll onto a Kamala rally? Oh, dude. Yeah, dude, I'm a zanned out bitch that sold out to the fucking police unions at the very beginning of her career. That's me. You can tell by my very modern designer fashion. I couldn't believe he won Georgia, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. I can, because it's fucking, I've been through PA. PA's Trump country. I knew that state was going to go for fucking PA. I just figured Pennsylvania was going to go fucking Trump the last time I drove through Pennsylvania. Because the last time I drove through PA, it wasn't until I got into the actual cities that I started seeing some Kamala merch and some Kamala shit. And that just told me, like, this is a state that will easily go blue for the right type of person. And it's just not going blue this time. There is just too much intransigence. Too much. People ain't gonna stand for it. I preferred him to win, but damn, she dropped the ball. Oh, I couldn't believe he won Georgia, Wisconsin. Oh yeah, never mind. I preferred him to win. You preferred Trump? Mr. Flowers does not seem like a guy that would want Trump, but maybe I'm wrong. You know what? Let Nicholas stay, because Nicholas can be that, like, he can be the one protester at the Kamala rally that's, like, yelling Trump, Trump, Trump from the very back, you know? It's like, I'm up here being like, and that's why we have to consider a new direction for the Democrats. And next year, next cycle, we've got to go for a different... And he's back there like, Trump, 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 Trump. Yeah, let Nicholas stay around. Let him stick it out. Mark Gamba is still an Oregon state rep. We now have a way to impeach our politicians statewide. Dems won overwhelmingly here. Renee Gonzalez lost the mayor election. Portland. Oregon did I called that Pennsylvania was going to be PA or bust, and when PA was called, I knew it was going to be a Trump victory. Yeah, pretty much. Me too. As soon as I saw that all of Kamala Harris's wasted effort and wasted money in that state was indeed wasted, as soon as I realized that it wasn't making a significant enough difference, I was like, yeah, Trump's got it. Trump's got it, because she spent so much time in this state, and that's not even making a difference. I will say it again. Kamala Harris should not have spent any of that time in Pennsylvania. She should have done a couple of rallies in Pennsylvania to counteract that Trump energy, and then said, fuck it, and really focused on the Midwest and the South. I swear to God, as soon as a Democrat does this, they will win the country again. But they don't want to. They do not want to do the work. You know what? I think it's a combination of being unwilling to do the work and a knowledge. These people know in the fucking deep, cold core of themselves, they know that that they are not the right person and cannot make a good argument for blue-collar, working-class people that represent the average fucking American worker in this country. They are not good at making those arguments. And, let me change something I said there. It's not that they're not the right person. I'm going to say something about the South. You ain't got to be the right person. Who you are does not matter in the South. or in the Midwest nearly as much as the shit you're saying. I know everybody likes to think that we're full of nothing but retards. The truth of it is we're full of nothing but uneducated people. Well, not nothing but uneducated people. We've got a sizable majority of uneducated people. That does not mean they're stupid. There's a profound difference between being just ignorant and being outright stupid. And a lot of people down here are ignorant, and they end up selecting politicians like Trump and politicians like a lot of the people that run the South, because the dynastic rule of those politicians that extends all the way back to the slave days has created a sort of intellectual prison for people in the South and the Midwest that prevents them from progressing far enough in their education to learn why the Republicans do not have their best interest at heart. And so what they base it off of is other things that they know. So it's like people will vote on politicians around here because they actually got to meet and know the dude, and that whoever it is did some cool stuff for them and actually made some positive change happen in their community or something. They did some kind of tokenistic gesture that got that person's attention, right? Or because that person, he's a Republican, but he's also, he was a union president for a long time, and he's pretty strongly pro-union despite being a Republican. You know what I mean? Like, that sort of labor messaging still gets to people down here. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that I genuinely believe that Kamala Harris, even though she's a mixed, Indian and Jamaican lady from fucking San Francisco, if she was prepared to be coached for a month or for a week or whatever, how long it would take to get her ready to make a genuinely good argument for working class Americans, working class average Americans, she could do it. It wouldn't matter. That shit, none of that shit would matter. All she would have to do is come down to a state like Mississippi and explain why she is a better candidate. Explain what she's going to do for manufacturing jobs. Explain what she wants to do for infrastructure. And explain it in plain everyday language that doesn't invoke in a lot of people's minds fucking Martin Luther King Jr. or some other lofty fuck. Dude, people down here don't want to vote for a lofty fuck. Neither do people in the Midwest. And people in the Midwest are overwhelmingly more liberal than people in the South. It's not about the politics necessarily. It's about the fucking vibe. And you can say that's stupid or whatever, but that's just the way it is. And, because people in the Midwest and the South vote the vibe, you have to contend with that in national elections, because once again, good, bad, right, or wrong, this is where people live. This is where the people with the voting power live. Let me restate that. Sure, there are more. Okay, let me put it this way. About 50% of America lives on the coast. Now, that's a lot of concentration because America's got way more inland empire, way more inland land, and, shit in the middle than it does shit on the coast, right? But the other 50% lives distributed across that great gray middle. And most of them, honestly, live in the South and the Midwest, because after you get a certain point west, it starts to become harder and harder to get water regularly. It starts to become harder and harder to live just normally, with less technology and less integration and shit. And the environmental conditions are worse. So there's like a sweet spot in America where, I don't know, like something like 75% of the country lives, and that's, something like 75% of the country that doesn't live on the coast. There's like a sweet spot from, the East Coast to about the eastern edge of Kansas. I'd say the eastern third of Kansas and most states that are along that line pretty much have a high population density. And as you go west from there until you get to the coasts and shit, you've got really low population density outside of the cities. And because we all vote on vibes down here, because so many of the people down here are not educated enough to vote on facts and figures, the Democrats have to contend with that. And I don't think they know how to contend with that. And I think that's a big part of why Kamala Harris lost. She refused to come down here and campaign in the South and the Midwest, which would have won her the country. But she would have had to do a lot of rallies at a lot of audiences that would not have been for her at first. You know what I mean? Like, she would have had to work for her fucking bread, and she didn't want to do that. Let me see. What if Mamala tries to pull a Trump and do a Dem Jan 6 with her 12 supporters? Oh, dude, that would be hilarious. I've thought about that possibility. What if Kamala Harris tries to pull a fucking January 6th? What if she just pulls from the Trump playbook and decides, like, well, fuck it, he did it, we can do it? She could. Never underestimate a Democrat to snatch. Never underestimate a Democrat to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. 100%. It just makes me wonder if I was right about the Democrats not really wanting to win. You know what I mean? Because I remember talking about that a while ago. Like, I don't think they want to win every election. I think that they pretty much have learned that they can put up a half effort and they'll win whenever people are sick of Republicans. And that's another reason why I don't want to vote for Democrats anymore, because that's retarded. That's a policy, that is a party that has decided to relegate its existence to enriching the people that are involved within its superstructure and helping to foster an attitude of class warfare against the working class. Fuck that. Let me see here. True, I used to live in Kansas, and most people are very liberal in terms of their values. Oh yeah, most people. Like, the Midwest is full of people who are... Hell, the Midwest is full of this weird type of person that is, like, super conservative in a lot of ways, but always votes Democrat for one or two reasons. You know what I mean? Or like, super conservative in a lot of shit, but absolutely hates Republicans. And honestly, a lot of these people, I consider them, if nothing else, at least they're principled. I may not agree with their principles. I may not think that they make external sense, but at least they make internal sense. At least those people, you know, like, they've got this established set of principles, and they're like, you know, the Democrats align with them for this reason. And, you know, that's despite the fact that they have this, and that belief. And the Midwest is full of people like that. It's also full of people who are just regular old run-of-the-mill liberals and people to the left of them, right? The Midwest is full of fucking anarchists and leftists and neolibs and liberals and people on the center left and fucking people of all stripes. Very fucking diverse part of the country, right? So is the South, but nobody ever wants to talk about that. I mean, I guess y'all did it. I don't know about Go Trump, but I guess y'all did it. I feel pretty ambivalent about this state of affairs, honestly, but it's clear the MAGAs are super excited about it. I didn't really think y'all would be. I thought y'all would pretty much be like, yay, we won. Well, whatever. But seems like there's excitedness. She was unqualified, and that was obvious. Let her try a J6. Would be amazing to watch. I'll bring popcorn. I mean, Trump's was pretty amazing to watch, dude. Fucking 2,500 chuds descending on the White House, breaking windows, taking shit on fucking Nancy Pelosi's desk. Dude, that shit was some of the most entertaining political theater of the last 10 years. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it'd be funny if Kamala Harris did it too. But yeah, I mean, was Harris unqualified? I don't know. Like, the qualifications for president, I mean, I think she met them pretty clearly, but unqualified in terms of voter perspective, yeah. I don't think her voters found her qualified, which matters ultimately, in a lot of ways, more than the actual qualifications themselves. Not Go Trump? Yeah. I mean, whatever. Like I said about the Nicholas kid earlier, let him be excited. Let him be like that one protester at the back of the Kamala rally that's like, Go Trump, go Trump, go Trump. So what do you guys think Trump is actually going to do? Because I don't know. I have no fucking idea. Dude, the one thing I keep hoping the president will fucking move on is healthcare. I've been wanting it for like 10 years. I've been wanting a fucking president to move on that shit. And it hasn't happened yet. And when Trump was asked about it during the debate, he gave the weakest answer of all time. Honestly, it made me think, dude, if Kamala's campaign seized on that in the right way, they could have turned that into a win for Kamala, probably. Or they could have at least used that as part of their campaign materials. They should have had that as like a drop to throw in all kinds of shit, because one of the moderators asks Donald Trump, okay, so you've opposed Obamacare for a really long time, and you talked about dismantling it, but so far you haven't actually talked about any plans. Do you have a plan for dismantling Obamacare and replacing it? And he was like, I have concepts of a plan. The weakest answer you could possibly give. It sounded like a fucking Bushism, bro. It was retarded. So I don't think Trump's going to do anything on fucking healthcare. I want him to. I want to think. There's this part of. I like to engage in some fantastical thinking every so often. And there's this fantastical part of my brain that thinks maybe because Donald Trump doesn't have to worry about a re-election campaign, maybe he'll decide to do some based, actually leftist shit because he doesn't have to worry about pleasing his base anymore. And I know Trump doesn't have principles. He has an ego. Trump doesn't care what he does as long as he is lauded for it. And if Trump figures out that what he has to do to be lauded by the American people and loved by not just Republicans, but people on the left, people on the right, people in the center, is pass Medicare for all, he'll do it. But, will Trump be allowed to be exposed to people that will put that idea in his head? I don't know. Probably not. And would he choose to act on it if it was? I don't know. I like to think that his fucking narcissistic ass would, because it would. Whoever does, I wish a fucking presidential candidate would get this. Whoever does Medicare for all will be a hero in America. Literally. Whoever manages to get that as a policy, instant re-election if they're eligible. Instant re-election if they're eligible. Instant fucking hero status in the minds of millions of Americans. Millions of working families will be telling their kids about how hard shit was before Trump made Medicare for all a thing, or before President Sanders made Medicare a thing for everybody, or Medicare for all a thing for everybody. People would literally be talking about that president until the dissolution of America. I really wish a candidate would understand that. Nothing honestly. Push harder for states' rights, harder on immigration. I'd say that's about it. Yeah, I mean, he might push harder on states' rights, but even then, I mean, I don't know. Like, Trump seems like the kind of guy who uses that mostly as a rhetorical tool, not really something he plans on implementing, but maybe I'm wrong. Harder on immigration, 100%. I mean, I think Trump is just naturally kind of scared of immigrants. I think maybe he's like one of those old men, those old white men that just never spent a lot of time around immigrants and therefore is distrustful of them. I think that's one possibility. I also think it's possible that he's one of these old white men that has worked with Mexican immigrants almost his whole life and has built up a resentment for them because he, as a rich businessman, billionaire, takes umbrage with every working class person. I don't really know. I think it's one of those two possibilities, but I do think that it's going to lead to him being harsher on immigration than he might otherwise be. All these Trumpies will eventually get disenfranchised after about a year or less. They'll stop their rah-rah, sis-boom-bah rant train after the end of 2025, guaranteed. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think a year of Trump policy not working out for anybody, just like it did, the first go-round. I think about a year of that just kind of economic stagnation. Because here's the thing, right? When Trump took office in 2016, he was taking office, if I remember correctly, during the beginning of a of an economic upturn, right? If I remember correctly, Trump took office during basically. Okay, so Obama had worked since the beginning of the Great Recession to put things on a new track, right? And then Trump inherited that economy, and so things were looking up more back then. Inflation wasn't as high. Gas prices were lower overall, if I remember correctly. Um, and so he inherited that good economy. And I think a lot of people just assumed that he had something to do with that, when in reality, I think it had more to do with concerted effort by certain people in the Democratic Party and in uh, other factions in this country to try their best to clean up the mess that was created by the Great Recession and by the housing market collapse and shit. And so people look back at those the gains they got during the Trump presidency. They look back at the economic progress that happened then and think, they attribute it to him, right? It'll be interesting to see what happens this time, right? Because Trump will not have 8 years to fix the economic downturn that he has inherited. So that's working against them, right? And because he doesn't have those 8 years, it'll be interesting to see, number one, if he's able to have any real effect on it at all. And number two, it'll be interesting to see what sort of rhetoric comes out of the right wing after it's shown that Trump is not some magical balm for the economy. I went to the doctor this week. I got hurt at my moving job, $150 for the visit, and you get a script for ibuprofen, $800. Dude, that's fucking ridiculous. Fucking $150 for what was probably 45 minutes of waiting around on your cell phone, and then 30 minutes worth of work from the doctor to listen to you and give you some ibuprofen 800s. Retarded, right? And the only reason that shit is that expensive is because the medical industry exists. It's because medicine in this country is allowed to be a for-profit enterprise, which means as long as you've got a for-profit enterprise, that means you've got shareholders to deliver profits to. And what profits are is money that you are scalping off of customers and workers. That is what profit is. Profit is labor value that you have derived from someone else that is excess to what is needed to continue running the operation. And when you no longer have that profit motive, right? When you no longer have to deliver increasingly better results and increasingly when you're not constantly having to cut off every bit of fucking fat from everything you do to make sure that the shareholders are being maximally delivered to, then your priorities shift a little bit because they're allowed to shift a little bit. It's such a shame Medicare for All was basically forgotten after 2020. It wasn't even a talking point this election by anyone. Dude, literally, that pisses me off so much too. That is one of the most annoying things about this electoral cycle for me, is that 2016 Medicare for All was a huge issue, massive issue. Everybody couldn't stop talking about it. 2020, it was even bigger. 2020, we were fucking literally in the midst of a pandemic, and it was like so obvious what we need is Medicare for All. This would not be a problem. None of this shit, so much of the shit that was a problem during the pandemic would not have been a problem in a country with Medicare for All, where going to the doctor was not a proposition that involved money of your own, where it was just paid for by taxes, right? But because that's the situation, do you guys realize how many people are ignorant of the medical system, and how many people are untreated medically simply because, and how many people are fearful of the medical system because they feel like they can't afford to go? They literally feel like they can't afford to go to the doctor, and therefore they get scared of them, right? Because it feels better to have some other justification for why you're not going other than I just can't afford the fucking cost, right? Do you that's such a fucking crushing problem? But if it was a thing where people could just go It would subvert part of that in their mind. You could, when your fucking grandpa falls and breaks a hip, you could convince him more easily to go to the doctor because he's not going to be worrying about that $200,000 medical bill for getting his hip replaced. He's not working a day in his life. Who are you talking about? I don't talk to other people in the chat, Jonah. I don't know who the fuck you're talking about. I agree. At Ignore, yeah. I stay in a hotel that costs $350 a week, so about half a week of room for that. Ridiculous. Yeah, dude, that fucking sucks. I'm guessing you have to because of your work, but that fucking sucks. Dude, why doesn't, if you have to do that for your work, why doesn't the company like create some kind of contract with this hotel, which is like, you know, we've got this schedule that we're on. We're gonna be needing these rooms on this and this date. Give it to us for a discounted rate, and you'll always have business in those rooms. I would do that as a hotel owner. Maybe that's just not something they're open to. It's not for work. I lost my apartment due to inflation. Couldn't afford it anymore. Oh my god. That is so sad, bro. Mr. Flower. That is so fucking sad, bro. Can I tell you something, though? You lost your apartment because of greed. You lost your apartment because your landlord realized that they could probably find enough people to still fill those apartments, even with the rent raised, and could probably maintain them for the same price. It's just the sad fucking fact of it. Here's my problem with capitalism, and what Mr. Flower just said really fucking encapsulates it. Maybe not encapsulates it, but it makes it poignant to bring up. My problem with capitalism, right, is the profit motive. Centrally, you can reduce it to the profit motive as an operative force. Without the profit motive, other things can be your primary concern. And without the profit motive, you don't have to consider whether or not your action is going to impinge on someone else in a mansion or in a high-rise being allowed to get a little bit extra rich, right? With the profit motive, every single thing you do is subverted by the knowledge that it is wasted productivity if it does not bring you money, right? And this applies to everyone. Capitalism forces this mindset on everyone. Artists oftentimes end up feeling like if they are not doing the type of art that is popular right now for the biggest amount of people, that they are not actually doing what they need to be doing. And as a result of that, constant nagging, as a result of the whispers of mother culture and capitalism in their ear, telling them all the time that they're wasting their time, they end up doing different art. They end up doing art they wish they wouldn't have done. And they end up fundamentally just wasting a lot of their time on things that if they had just spent their time on what they actually wanted to do, unhindered by the profit motive, would have been beautiful and wonderful and thought-provoking. And instead, it's corporate, cold, calculated. Profit motive damages medicine. The fact that you have to worry about the fact that you have to worry about shareholder profits when you're considering whether or not you're going to allow someone to be treated for a given illness means less people get treated for illness that they have. Less people live the full breadth of their life's potential because it's cheaper for some shareholder somewhere, and it brings them more profit for that person to die. The profit motive kills people. The profit motive is systemic murder of human beings in furtherance of the luxury of a few small people. That is my problem with capitalism. That is why it is a flawed system. That is why it's toxic. Because at the core of it, it is about it is about putting other people on a pedestal and forcing the entirety of humanity to prop them up and do their bidding. It's a supervillain morality. Just trying to survive, you know? That sucks, Mr. Flower. Honestly, I don't know what kind of money you have saved up or anything. I don't know if probably none, given the fucking cost of everything and shit. But if you've got the ability, I would seriously. Are you single, Mr. Flower? If you're single and have no pets, I would really fucking consider looking into some of the shelters in your area and seeing if they'll take someone. Seeing if they've got any room. Because really, what you need is to not be paying out the ass to live somewhere. Because if you couldn't afford your apartment with inflation, there's a good chance that you're not going to be able to afford a hotel. You know what I mean? Much longer either, because I'm sure that shit will go up over the next 6 months too. So I feel like the best thing you could probably do would be try and find some kind. Also, look into extended stays. Is there like an extended stay near you or something? Because sometimes you can get like a month-long contract with those places. Pay like you pay like $1,000 or something, or you agree to pay $1,000 over the course of a month or something, but it ends up being like, $30 a day or something. Or not 30, it wouldn't be $30 a day, it'd be like, would it? I don't fucking know. Condolences for real, that's rough. That is rough. I started with the apartment at $900 a month. By the time I left, it was $1,500. That's almost double. I just couldn't afford it. I didn't have Wi-Fi for years. I was budgeting and very conservative with my money. It still wasn't enough. Is there a way I could contact you directly to talk sometime via Twitter or something? Married. This was actually cheaper than the extended stay. Oh my god, really? Bro, dude. This is what I mean. This is why capitalism fucks us. Dude, there is a person in my chat right now who is married and fucking homeless because shit just got too expensive. Literally, lived without Wi-Fi for years. Literally did exactly what conservative politicians and fucking commentators will tell you have to do if you're going to be successful and fucking make money and manage your fucking finances correctly. It's 100% what they will tell you to do. You've got to fucking make sacrifices. You've got to make big sacrifices in your life, and you've got to go without and make careful decisions and budget your numbers correctly. Someone does that, they still fucking lose out. And then they can't even get a fucking extended stay because every motherfucker in this country with money is so hell-bent on making that dollar sign go up and making that line go up that they will fucking bilk working class people until there's nothing left of us. Understand what extended stays were meant to be. Extended stays are meant to be for someone who is in Mr. Flower's position. They're meant to be for someone who needs a place to stay in a city while they get on their feet and figure out an actual place to live. They're not meant to be necessarily rough places or anything like that, although some of them do have a reputation for being such, but they're meant to be transitionary places. A place you move to a new city without much. Maybe it's under completely mundane auspices. Maybe you're escaping domestic violence, but you've got a place there that is your own, that gives you a little place you can cook, and a little place you can sleep, and a little place you can take a shit and shower, and an address you can get mail at. That's what extended stays are meant for, and they're meant to be way fucking cheap because they're usually located in or around big metro areas where there's expected to be a lot of young people, a lot of people kind of moving in, moving out, etc., right? And they're meant to be fucking cheap. They're meant to not cost an arm and a fucking leg. But yet, $458 a week in extended stay? Dude, that's fucking retarded. That's more expensive than your apartment would have ended up being. I'm sorry, y'all. I think I got it. Anyway. Oh yeah, that's fucking absurd. That's so that is so insane because they are literally meant to be cheap places. Oh, and you asked if there's a way to get a hold of me. Um, yes, if you look at my channel, my Discord is on there. Sorry, I don't mean to sound like I'm complaining, although I try to stay positive, just fit the topic. Oh no, dude, it's 100% was the topic. I mean, I'm glad you're in here providing your perspective because, um, I mean, it's really just, it's really nice and poignant when someone who's actually being affected by the things I'm talking about comes through and is like, hey, I'm being affected by the things they're talking about. It's not bullshit. It makes me feel like I'm a little less crazy, you know? But yeah, I mean, shit has gotten so fucking ridiculous and expensive. Housing has become a thing that nobody even moves on anymore. Um, like, housing has become such a ridiculous thing in this country. They have turned us into a nation of renters. Essentially, that is what has happened. It has become so fucking difficult to buy a house. Unless you're, like, if you're in the military, you can still get a house. Sure. If you make over 100 grand a year, you can still get a house pretty easily. If you're willing to live in a place that's suboptimal. But if you want a house where you really want to live, you're going to rent it. Nowadays, all of the places, all of the houses and places where people really want to live are either owned by someone who is renting them out, either as an Airbnb or as a rental, or they are so there's something wrong with the property and they just can't move anybody in there, and that's very fucking rare these days because that property usually gets snapped up, rehabilitated, and turned into something functional within a year. But point is, there's nothing left for working class people. Like, there used to be this idea in this country that if you really fucking played your cards right, then eventually you might be retired before you got the chance to do it, but eventually you would get to live in the place where you really want to live. Do you really want to live on the beach? Okay, well, you can find yourself a beach house. You will be able to get that somewhere in this country. Nowadays, though, I mean, I guess if you want to live on one of the shitty beaches in America, like if you want to live on the fucking, on Pascagoula Bay, you know, like if you want to live, you know, somewhere on the New Orleans Gulf Outlet or whatever, sure, maybe you can find some fucking seaside housing out there for like $400 a month or whatever. But outside of that, it's just not a thing that's accessible to people anymore. It's a rich person thing. And sure, if you've got a couple of $1 million to drop on the house and you can pay cash and beat the other person that's bidding for it, then fuck yeah, you get it. But if you're not, if you're just a regular working class person that saved up your money for a long time, you just know that that isn't open to you. And it fucking, it's tragic. It's tragic that this country, which used to be dominated, I want people to remember something, dude. I feel like this doesn't get talked about enough. The idealism of America used to involve buying a house. The fucking imagery that this country used to rely on so heavily used to be partly composed of buying a house. The American dream, you know what the American dream was? When people talked about it in the 1950s and 60s, the American dream was getting a good job, finding a person you really loved, marrying them and having some kids, buying your own house and moving out of your parents' house, and mowing your lawn and taking care of it and making it look like your own, and maybe eventually you buy a bigger house and you rent that little one out, and then your rent's paying for your mortgage on that old house, and or maybe it's paying for the mortgage on the new one, and you get to save up that money you used to be spending on your mortgage, and by the time you retire and sell that other house to the people that were renting it, or give it to them or whatever, which is something that also used to happen. um, a right of first refusal and shit used to sometimes be a thing in the rental market, where family lives in a house for 20 years and the people that owned it are retiring from the business and shit, and they're like, well, we'll sell it to you for a real discounted price since y'all have been in it for so long and we're getting out of the business. And then a family gets a fucking house that's their own. Dude, we have been completely stripped of that ability in this country. That's just not a thing that we are able to experience anymore. Nobody even idealizes it anymore. Nobody's been shown why they needed to idealize it. But the imagery of the 1950s and 60s was full of it. Was full of dads playing baseball with their sons and their daughters on their lawn. Full of images of people having big old backyard block parties with a big barbecue and shit. Full of images with people with pools in their backyards, even up into the 90s. If you look at movies and shit from the 90s, most people own a home. They don't live in an apartment. They don't live in a house that's rented or owned by somebody else. They don't have a landlord, right? And they've got like a pool in the backyard. They've got some freedom with the fucking house they own because they own it. And so they've got this beautiful place that feels like their own. And that's something that we don't even idolize that we don't idolize that anymore. We don't idealize it. We certainly don't think about it much anymore. Anyway, it's not something we consider. What is this? Oh my god. Transphobic bitch, you're about to be respectful or be escorted out. I don't have time, and I have no desire to listen to your stupid bullshit. And there are fucking killers all up and down this chat. So, almost. I don't even remember what I was talking about. Ellie Razor got small dick energy. Hella small dick energy. I'll probably hit the hay, but I'll be lurking. A good song that's relatable to things for me is When I'm Gone by Phil Oakes. Oh yeah, that is a really fucking good song. Really impactful for sure. I'll share that one for the hell of it. Yeah, dude. And I won't breathe the bracing air when I'm gone. And I can't even worry about my cares when I'm gone. Won't be asked to do my share when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. Republicans ruined that shit 15 years ago, yeah. How do you cope with autism? Interesting question. Get wrecked anyway, yeah. Would you be available to talk for a little while today? Maybe. I mean, honestly, though, anything you want to talk about, we can probably talk about it in chat, unless it's like super personal details. Like if you've got questions about how to live without a house, I can help in that area. If you've got questions about how to proceed forward, from kind of your situation, I can try my best to help with that. I understand you'll probably want to be a little vague because of being a public stream and all that, but I do plan on streaming for a while, so feel free to talk about it here if you want to. But like I said, I'm on Discord, and if you hit me up there, we can definitely talk there. And if I do happen to have some time today, I'll let you know. Anyway, so let's look at what we were talking about. Yeah, so we were talking about housing, right? Fuck, what was I talking about? God damn it. Does anyone remember what I was talking about before I got up and left? Before I got up to get onto the dog? I know it was something about capitalism. I was talking some shit about it, but I don't remember specifically. Oh, I remember now. I was talking about the American dream. Okay, um, so yeah, homeownership used to be a big aspect of this country's cultural language. We used to talk about it in very glowing terms. And nowadays, we really don't talk about it much anymore. It's become a thing that millennials and Zoomers just kind of joke about. We joke around about how, oh yeah, we're never gonna get a home. Oh, well, we don't idealize it because we're never gonna get one, etc., etc. And I think that that's true. I think it is true that we don't idealize it because we know deep down that that's just not open to us anymore. But um, it's so sad to me that that we've kind of rolled over on that, right? We've kind of just decided as a country that we're okay with that, right? We've decided as a country that it sucks that none of us can buy a house, but it doesn't suck bad enough for us to do anything legislatively about it. It's just so contrary to me, to the American spirit, because the American spirit is all about getting your own little kingdom, getting your own little patch of land, getting your own little patch of America that you can do what you want with. That I don't get it, because this is so baked into our cultural ethos, and it seems like nobody gives a fuck about it anymore. But it was so central to our perception of ourselves and our cultural ethos for so long, right? And people in the South and the Midwest are still familiar with this shit and still talk about it, right? If you look around the South and Midwest, yeah, you see some fucked up properties, but you'll also sometimes see some properties that got some really cool shit going on that you don't really see in a whole lot of other places with the same regularity you see it here, because people have more of that, like, this is my fucking property, I'm gonna do whatever I want with it sort of attitude. And so you'll see people set up fucking like whole ass I don't know how to put it, like whole ass like ATV courses in their backyard. They've got a field somewhere on their property, and they just turn it into a big ass ATV jumping fucking mudding bonanza. And who's gonna fucking tell them different? Nobody, right? And you go by a different house, and it's fucking got nothing but lawn gnomes on it. Every little tree is surrounded by lawn gnomes, and every little deformity in the yard has a lawn gnome guarding it, right? And all of this shit is just a projection of the American cultural value of personal freedom when it comes to your housing. And it's something that we have been completely we've been completely removed from in the modern day. We don't value that shit anymore. And landlords have done their fucking level-headed best to deprive us of it. Nowadays, you move into a fucking house, you would have to be at that house for like years before that landlord would be willing to let you do some like improvements on the land. And even then, you're going to know that there's no chance you're going to be able to buy that fucking rental for whatever he's going to sell it for afterwards, because he's going to sell it on the rental market, right? And so it represents more than just the house itself. It represents a nice, long tenancy contract. And so there's really no motivation to improve the lot of a place you live on anymore, which means that cities are looking more and more drab every year. Victory gardens, let's just talk about this, right? Victory gardens, you ever heard of what this is? Back in World War II and even during World War I, rationing made it very difficult for people to get their food regularly. And so victory gardens were conceived. It was the idea of taking some of your yard that you're currently just using for lawn. You're going to be using fertilizer and water on it anyway. Why not use that instead for fruits and veggies, and supplement the food you're eating with things that you can grow yourself? And these victory gardens were a huge success, and were enabled in part by the fact that most people in America owned their homes. And in the cities, they were empowered by the fact that cities had long ago figured out the kind of communal basis of organization. So community gardens were a thing, right? But in rural areas, most people owned their homes and as a result had freedom and latitude to do something like plant a victory garden. Now, I'm sure if World War II, if we were in a situation like that and renting had been the standard, maybe victory gardens would have still happened. But now it would take something like that for that to become a kind of cultural standard, even though most people I talk to will talk about how they wish they could plant stuff, they wish they could keep a garden, but they just can't because they live in an apartment or they live in a rental. And so this housing market becoming a strictly private thing and people being completely unable to buy houses is making people's lives worse. It's fucking up the cultural imagery that we associate with America. Um, in other words, our slip is hanging on this issue, and we really need to figure it out. I'm kind of looking for some friends I can talk on here. I'm kind of looking for some friends I can talk on here for sure. I'll be on your stream for a while. You were speaking about how the American dream's over. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. It took me a minute. Didn't Paul get fucked over in this way? He was told he could rent to own, then got the rug pulled by the children of his landlord. Oh my god, dude. Yeah, he basically did. Basically, it wasn't like a rent to own situation as far as I know. I think what the offer was Paul had been at that house for like a year and a half or something, 2 years or something like that. And this is all just my understanding from his public streams, so just putting that out there. But he put in an offer on the house, and at first it seemed like they were willing to sell it, but then apparently, he put in an offer again or something, and they were like, well, no, we actually can't sell it now because our kids want to move into that house. And yeah, so like the plan was to owner finance it. I don't think it was necessarily going to be rent to own, although I guess functionally, what's the difference, right? Really, the only difference between rent to own and owner finance is, in one, you're kind of expected to live there throughout the entire duration of the contract, or you're expected to at least pay for the entire duration of the contract, whereas something like rent to own, there's always that option if it's before payoff date to give it back up. So I guess that would be the difference. But yeah, he got fucked over in basically that exact same manner, and it's just an example of how the landlording system of managing housing, the capital based nature of a housing market being the way that people do or don't get housing, just goes to show you why it's such a flawed fucking system. Just goes to show you why it doesn't work. Because someone was able to lose a house that I think would have been great for Paul, dude. Imagine CPAP Paul, but in that house where he never had to hear his neighbors hardly ever, and never really had to worry about other people hearing him, and had some kind of like latitude and a big ass fucking yard compared to what it looks like he's got now. Like, imagine CPAP Paul in that house. I think he'd probably be better off, especially if he'd been able to buy it and then could have paid some contractors to go through and fix everything in that house. I miss those streams. It seemed very peaceful out there. I mean, that's honestly, that's kind of the energy I still try to give off whenever I'm streaming, especially outside, which I haven't been able to lately because it's been so cold. But today it's warm enough, and I'm sure at some point I'll get tired and sit down. But because I'm planning on doing some work while I'm on stream, but we'll see. But anyway, that's kind of the vibe I try to emulate here, is like that super chill old Paul stream vibe of like, we're just sitting outside, we're having a fire, everybody's chill. Dude, if you want to look back at that era of streaming of Paul's, there's a video on my channel called Paul Zigo's Thoughts on Suicide, and it's a really beautiful video. It's a really beautiful stream of his, or it's clipped from one. I don't know how to put it. You know what I'm trying to. Go watch the video if you have time at some point, and it'll take you back to that time for sure, because it was actually a Thanksgiving Day stream, if I remember correctly. I like it. It's definitely the vibe I'm getting. Thanks. Paul makes me want to go to Cali a lot. Dude, I've been to Cali, and I will tell you what. Part of me still wants to move there. It's just, I don't know. I'm sure Paul would say I'm just not a hustler enough or whatever, because that's tends to be what he says about people that make it in California or whatever. But I don't know. I was just kind of shocked by how expensive shit is out there, and how it seemed to make it out there, and like I was pretty intimidated by that. Um, I'm sure I could make it on a long enough time scale. I mean, I survived being homeless for 2 years, living all over the fucking country, and like 2 or 3 weeks of that time was spent in Cali, and I liked it. You know what I mean? I don't have anything negative to say about Cali other than the fact that it's so successful. I think makes it a hard place to spend money in terms of like, God damn it, my nose is itchy. Um, it's just an expensive fucking place to live, and I think if I ever moved out there, I would have to really figure out a plan for how I was going to do that, and it's really not even possible for me to think about. It's not even a worthy thing for me to consider until I get my own car again. What are you going off about, Mark? Mac? I definitely will. I saw you go live while I was watching an older video of yours while you were talking to Brett. Oh my god, bro. That old Brett appearance. Dude, that fucking Brett appearance is fucking golden, bro. Because it contains all of the old Manatee foibles. It contains every fucking old classic. Um, it contains Brett making a banana joke. It contains Brett fobbing off his stream responsibilities on other people, including me. It includes Brett making other people make his arguments for him. It includes Brett getting super pissed and hanging up on somebody and rage quitting out of a conversation. It includes a Festus joke. It includes Brett laughing at a joke that he shouldn't get and shouldn't find funny if his morals are what he says they are. Let's see. Oh, it includes Brett drunk. I think because it happened after Missouri had legalized, I'm almost 100% certain that he was also stoned during that conversation. I know I was, but I'm pretty sure he was too. But who knows? It's an old classic though. You gotta watch that Manatee video if anybody here is a fan of the old YouTuber Brett Keane. I had a legendary, in my opinion, legendary appearance on his channel. Legendary mostly because I was able to pretend that I was on his side. Not even on his side, but I was able to pretend that I had a little bit more of an olive branch than I actually had, all the way up until the end. And I got in an hour of conversation, something like an hour and a half of conversation, before I hit him with the joke that I pretty much knew would get me banned. How bad was it? I've been to almost every state, but I've never been to Austin. I've never been to Cali, because it seems like it's going the way of LA in terms of housing and shit. You miss Kamala? Well, Kamala will be back soon enough. How much you want to bet in 2028, y'all? How much you want to bet? He said he doesn't go to church because it's Pentecostal. Didn't mention his agoraphobia. Funny as hell. Oh, dude, yeah. I remember that. About that too. Whenever he mentioned how he doesn't go to church because they're Pentecostal, right? Not he doesn't go to church because I'm agoraphobic, right? Right? Just more fucking proof that the Manatee is a fucking scam and everything that he does, not just the stuff he does with certain people, Brett Keane has no fucking consistent principles. Brett Keane has no consistent presence. I mean, the only thing he's consistent with is who he is, right? Trump 2024 MAGA. No, I mean, he did win, but as far as him making America great again, that remains to be seen. Go get some mental health, man. You're the one sitting on somebody's YouTube chat prescribing fucking mental health treatment for them. That seems like something that would indicate mental health treatment is needed on your part, my friend. I'm not the one who came into your backyard and told you that you need to get mental health help. How about you pay me the common respect of not telling me to? Oh, wait, that would require common respect, and nobody in America does that anymore except me. I do really feel like that sometimes, dude. I know it sounds egotistical as hell, but, dude, sometimes I feel like I'm the single American left that has an ounce. No, I know. I'm not the only one left, but I feel like I'm one of, like, 20 Americans left that has an ounce of self-respect and respect for other people. You know what I mean? And respect for the nature of a conversation. It just feels like nobody else puts out that energy anymore, bro. I do. I don't make fucking broad assumptions of other people that I don't know, but they are constantly doing that to me, and I constantly am expected to just put up with it. Love it. You gotta love it. Trump 2024, it's already getting better. Bro, he hasn't even stepped foot in the White House yet. How is shit already getting better? Joe Biden is still president now. You realize that the president does not get inaugurated until January 20th, right? Right? You realize the election isn't even certified until like January 6th or something? You know what I mean? Like, how the fuck is it already getting better? Nothing has changed yet. Retarded. His only consistency is his inconsistency. Yep. Must be pushed through the rhythm, right? I love it. That is cool, though. Anyway, free speech, it's wonderful sometimes. I mean, you've had free speech this whole time. Like, that's the thing, is like, can you point to a single motherfucker over the last 5 years that has been killed by someone in the Joe Biden campaign or presidency or regime or whatever? Can you point to a single motherfucker that has been disappeared, killed, or otherwise mistreated for their speech? Because I can't. Steven Crowder is still streaming. Ben Shapiro is still streaming. Who are some fucking other dorks? Matt Walsh, still fucking streaming. All these fucking conservative commentators are still streaming and have been for the last 4 years. Kamala isn't anybody Trump. No, I never said she was. You've got me pegged wrong if you just assume that because I'm a trans woman, I'm voting for Kamala. You're just making righteous assumptions about other people because they're what fit your narrative best. This is what I mean when I say people don't give each other the common respect and courtesy that they used to. If you were giving me common respect and courtesy, you wouldn't just assume who I'm voting for or who may have voted for or who I will vote for in the future based on what I look like and 5 seconds of me talking. You would ask directly, okay, well, how do you feel about Kamala? But no, you would rather assume because that makes things easier on your tiny little pea brain. You're dressed like a woman. Yes, I know. Oh my god. Holy shit, dude. Uncle S-Word literally just fucking figured out the secret of secrets, bro. The secret of secrets. Motherfucker has eyes. Okay? Get this, right? So in that person's head, right? There are like these two little circles. They kind of look like these ones, right? Right? And inside those circles are some little balls. And inside those balls are some little black spots that let in light. There's all this crazy biological machinery in there, and it connects with a pair of little nerves into the brain, and that person is able to use that crazy set of supernatural shit they got to look at me and be like, that person is dressed like a woman, and tell the chat because nobody else could figure it out. Oh my god, you've just revealed something to us. I'm going to make Mr. Flower a mod. Oh no! No! I didn't mean to delete his message. What? No! What have I done? This phone is so fucking hard to use. Okay, there we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. Mr. Flower, you are now a mod. Feel free to clean up some of the skibbity bullshit that happens in here if you want to. Don't like you necessarily. This is not placing undue responsibility on you. It's just me saying that you're a person I recognize from chat and your contributions are generally respected and respectful. And if you want to help deal with some of the shit that isn't, feel free. I love how they come in here and think we're having a cry fest over the election. Literally, if they would fucking go back on stream, which you can, DVR is enabled, if they would go back on stream fucking 10 minutes, they would literally see us talking about shit that's unrelated to the election. We were literally talking about how housing has become something that is completely disrespected as something you should even shoot for, right? Like, home ownership is just not something America values anymore, despite the fact that it's painted across all of our culture, right? Disregard that. We just don't care about it anymore because we've allowed this country to turn us into a country of renters. We have allowed the bourgeoisie and the political class to turn us into a country of renters. What does that have to do with the election? Not a goddamn thing does that have to do with the election. Not a goddamn thing is going to be done on that front by Kamala Harris, Donald Trump. Not a goddamn thing is going to be done for your rental to make it any more well-maintained or to give you any more freedom with it by Donald Trump. He will do nothing on that front. In fact, he will do things that will make it easier for your landlord to fuck you. He will do things that will make it easier for your landlord to raise your rent and make your house less. He will do things that will make it easier for your landlord to fucking evict you when they're done with you. People need to understand this shit. Donald Trump is not your savior. Kamala Harris is not your savior. You know who your savior is? Your neighbor. Your fucking coworker is your fucking savior. You own savior. People need to fucking realize this shit and stop looking to Daddy Trump to save them from all their problems, to save them from all the shit that they've been made to be afraid of in this country. They need to stop looking for Mamala to save them from all of these problems. Mamala has no interest in saving you. Trump has no interest in saving you. They have interest in making profit off of your continued oppression. Both of them. He will take you out the women's bathroom also. No, he won't. He didn't last time. I lived through fucking 4 years of Donald Trump and went into whatever bathroom, even before I was trans. I've been going into whatever bathroom happens to be unlocked open when it comes to single person bathrooms, at least, since I was a kid, because mom taught me not to give a fuck. It's like, it's a bathroom. Literally, I'll never forget, we were like at a gas station or something and had two of those little bathrooms that are single person. They're meant to be like, they're family bathrooms. It's like one person or a family with small kids can go in there and everybody can use the bathroom real quick. It's not meant to be people really, really know each other or something like that. These single person bathrooms. And I remember obviously I wasn't out as trans as a little kid. So I was like, the men's bathroom was locked. And my mom was like, just use the men's. I'm coming. She was like, well, no. Would I come into you in that one? And I was like, well, no. And she was like, it's got a lock on it. Just hit the lock. It's just a bathroom. And so ever since then, I have used both bathrooms. What has never happened in my entire life? Someone coming into that bathroom to drag me out of it. You know why? Because you pussies would never dare. Honestly. It's because you pussies would never dare. It's because I am 6 feet fucking tall, right? I'm 6 feet tall. I'm attractive. Honestly, let's just go through it, right? Number one, I'm kind of attractive, and that throws people off. Number two, I'm huge, and that throws people off because most of these super transphobic pussies are tiny little bitch manlets, right? I'm intelligent, and that means that they're not usually going to get something over on me, right? And sure, you can't tell all of that just by seeing me in a bathroom or something, but you can tell that uh, I'm big and that I fucking move quick, right? That I'm big and not interested in your bullshit. I give off that vibe, I feel like, and I feel like any of the people that have ever uh, maybe had an issue and like saw me go into a woman's bathroom and might have said something, clearly there was something about me that made them think, no, I'm not, I don't want to have that fight. What was it they saw in me? I don't know. I leave that up to you. I like to think that they just didn't care because I probably give off the impression that I've been trans for a long time and that I didn't just become trans to prey on your fucking daughter in the bathroom, which, by the way, is the most retarded shit ever, because that would work exactly one time and then you'd be in prison for 20 years, right? Is there something I'm missing? This fucking narrative that conservatives spin about trans women is retarded, because this idea of dressing up like a woman and going into the women's bathroom to assault a woman would literally work one time and then you'd be fucking caught. To be honest, I didn't know you were trans until I read your channel description. Yeah, I mean, like, it probably doesn't occur to most people, and that's the thing. It's like I don't talk about it constantly. It's like literally not a thing that I ever bring up of my own volition. The more of my streams you watch, the more you realize I'm just not a person that brings that up on my own. You know what I mean? I'm not worried about how, I'm not worried about how I'm perceived, right? But I am willing to correct some like facts on the record type shit when somebody says some stupid bullshit, like people are going to be throwing me out of a bathroom. You ain't going to be throwing me out of shit. You ain't going to be throwing me from nowhere to nowhere. You fucking as a wise man once said, you put hands on me, you'll fucking pull back a fucking bloody stump. So I do not let people like play with that sort of like disgusting violent rhetoric here, because I'm not interested in watching people cope stroke about what kind of stupid shit they want to do to the queer people around them now that their favorite little fascist is in power. Fuck you. What the fuck? God damn it. Go into your own bathroom, and there's been tons of incidents where that happens. Also try less than 10 years. There's been tons of incidents of that happening, and yet none of them ever make the news. I wonder what that could be about. Could that be about these stories having about the same veracity as some drunk old farmers thinking he sees a UFO in his field? There have not been tons of incidents of trans women assaulting people in bathrooms, and the idea that someone would get less than 10 years for some sort of violent sexual assault in a public place is retarded. Retarded. You're fucking like, I'm gonna make up my own facts shit. Don't play here. Your race car bed don't drive around here. Aight? Understood? I ain't about your shit. Make up some motherfucking fake news around me. My uncle's with this husband for over 40 years, all through the AIDS epidemic. Should I let them talk and not time them out, or am I helping? Oh yeah, you're helping. 100%. 100%. Dude, yeah, so let me just explain that real quick. I will sometimes still read a comment that just got deleted so that I have some more content to respond to, because this, like, responding to your chat shit and getting on to the transphobes in your chat and fighting with the bigots and shit, this shit is algorithmic gold, and I love it. So 100%, but I don't want them sticking around in here. So if you detect that kind of energy, 100% just ban on site when you see that kind of energy. You know the vibe. You've been on Paul's chat long enough to know what I'm trying to do with these streams. You know the vibe, and I trust that you will make good decisions about who needs to go and who is making an opposing argument, but in a respectful enough manner that it's fine. They can stay, right? And so far, you haven't banned anybody that I would have unbanned. So you're doing great. I love that Mr. Flower cares about his responsibilities. Yeah, we can be friends, Mr. Flower. Although I will tell you, like I tell all my friends these days, dude, I'm just not the person you should go to if you need quick responses. And if you do, um, you should explain why you need a quick response in like the first sentence of your message. If it's like, and not that me and you would ever have something like this, right? But like I've told my partner before, for example, like if you're ever at the DMV or something, you need my fucking attention on a text right then. Just put in like the first sentence, like I'm at the DMV or I'm at Walmart and I need you to, and I will look at the text at that point because I know, okay, something needs my immediate attention. I don't want to inconvenience someone else, right? But I've also never gotten used to this idea of constantly being on the hook for DMs. So I'm willing, 100% willing to DM. We can even have like, I like phone calls personally. I don't know how you feel about that. I'm a big fan of like a phone call, call it old school, but I like that shit. Some people are not big fans of that, but you know, we can DM. It'll be fun. Did you vote Harris too? I was ineligible to vote, my friend. I have my favorite fucking excuse for being able to get out of this stupid bullshit that everybody's entertaining themselves with this year. I was ineligible. I was legally not allowed to vote. Couldn't have voted if I wanted to, and I didn't really want to, so I'm glad. Because that means I don't have to make excuses for the Harris administration. I don't have to feel bad about voting for them when they continue to do war crimes. Or I'm sorry, not. Well, I guess they're not. They didn't win, so it won't be them continuing to do war crimes. What it means is that I don't have to worry about my involvement in any of the stupid bullshit that is going to happen over the next 4 years as a result of Trump winning the presidency or as a result of Harris losing or anything else. My hands were off of that wheel as it turned. I was uninvolved, and that feels good. Even if it doesn't mean anything outside of my personal emotional life, it feels good to know that when little Palestinian kids die, sometime in February or January, whenever the president, whenever Trump fully takes office, feels good to know that my hands will not have undersigned the bombs. You know, feels good to know that that I had an ironclad excuse that is unimpeachable. Like, what am I gonna do? I forgot the fucking register, right? I forgot the register, and I looked at the fucking laws, and you can't. You gotta register 31 days or more before a major election. That's the law in Mississippi, right? I looked it up. That's the law. So you gotta. I procrastinated too long. I just wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't thinking about it, and the time just passed me by. And I'm not gonna commit voter fraud. Gonna do? What was I gonna do? What was I supposed to do? Fake accent much? No shit. Really? You fucking think so, bro? Oh, motherfuckers in this fucking chat think they're so fucking goddamn clever. Retarded. Yes, obviously it's fucking fake accent. Ay vey. Why do people feel the need to share their inner monologue with other people in chats? If your inner monologue is hilarious, that's one thing. But just pointing out that someone doing a bogus accent is doing a bogus accent, it's like, What am I in a movie? What are you, my director? What do you give a fuck? If it bothers you, fucking scroll up, alright? Nobody's fucking holding your face to the fire. Nobody's fucking got a gun to your head. Just scroll up. Scroll up, little skibbity. You'll feel better. What are you even talking about, sense of peace? What is even being discussed? Calm down. Let's ask questions. Don't tell me what to do, bitch. I will calm down when I am good and fucking ready! Am I not? What? Ask a fucking full question. I am begging someone in this chat besides Mr. Flower, be intelligent. I'm begging you. I've been streaming for an hour and 41 minutes now. Holy shit, it's been an hour and 41 minutes. I've been streaming for an hour and 41 minutes now. I am begging one of you to be intelligent. Please. Let's see. Someone just put in the chat. Let's see. Phoebe ignores them. Not seen you live in ages. Caught up on some of your videos. Congratulations, unexpected baby. Farmer in Iceland here. Ireland here. Oh, that's cool. Oh, you're saying, yeah, ignore them. Yeah, I do. I mean, I just use them for content, really. I don't, like, take them seriously in terms of, like, long-term. I'm not worried about them all that much, but they are fucking hilarious to respond to, right? But, yeah, what's up? I haven't seen you in here in a while. That's super cool. I love that I have an Irish farmer that's a viewer of mine. I'm actually about to start doing some work around the farm. I've got this barn lot that because my family was kind of broken up for a while and we weren't living here. The old barn lot got really fucking growed up, and when that happens and you cut down all that old growth and you've got like chickens out there and shit, they just ate it all down, and there was no actual grass or anything, no full sun plants established on the ground level. And so I've got to do a bunch of raking and then sow with ryegrass that little barn lot and get it to where it's growing some green stuff again. Train coming. I hear that train a-coming. It's rolling down the track. And I ain't seen the sunshine since I was on crack. But I'm stuck in Folsom Prison. Time keeps dragging on. And that train keeps rolling on down to San Antonio. By the way, you're a great singer. Aw, thanks. I appreciate it. Been a month plus time difference. Yeah, I know, 100%. That's what I think a lot of my different viewership times is about, is the fact that I've got viewers from all over this world. In fact, the two primary sources for viewers of my channel is the United States and India. About 10% of my regular audience is Indian, so that's kind of cool. And so I stream at a bunch of weird times, and time difference makes it so where it's different people getting exposure to me at different times, which is kind of cool. Remember, guys, Phoebe's being true to herself and stop giving her a hassle. That's 100% what I'm saying. Like, dude, I am not harming anyone by living the way that I want to live, right? I'm not forcing this on you. I'm not making you dress like I dress, you know? I'm not making a decision for your life. I'm making a decision for mine, right? Let me see here. I like being dumb. Yeah, me too. So you just said, don't tell you what to do. So if you tell someone you are this but are, and they do not call you what you want, I'm sorry. Listen, I've never said I'm a fucking genius. And one of the things that will easily confuse me is this like double negative shit. So, okay. My point is, do not get angry at people because they do not believe what you believe in. It is childish. I believe everyone can live their life and be happy. Don't force your own reality on people. I'm not. They can scroll up. bro, that, like, do you not understand what's going on? I'm not trying to be mean, but understand what's going on. This is a stream. Right now, there are 20 people. There are between 20 and 30 people in here based on when I look at the numbers. And the idea of this stream is to have a conversation with the chat, which means that I'm going to respond to people in the chat the way I would respond to those things if someone said them to me. And you know how often somebody says something like the thing I said, don't tell me what to do, when they said, calm down, let's just ask questions? Do you know how often somebody ever fucking says that to me in real life? Very hardly ever, because I'm never this performative in real life. So you have to understand, number one, that when you're trying to make a stream and make it interesting, you have to respond to things in an interesting way. And number two, you have to understand that the people who say shit like that in chat, people who are super self-righteous on the internet, never get that sort of energy poured back at them. All I'm doing is serving people back a serving of what they put out into the world, right? I never tell a streamer to calm down. It's never occurred to me to do that, because I figure, number one, because I find people getting frustrated at their chat to be really funny, and I find it to be really entertaining. I find people being passionate about their emotions really entertaining. And so it's never occurred to me to tell someone in that position to calm down. So it's just a self-righteous thing to do. It's just I want to control the content kind of question to fucking ask or statement to make, and I don't care for it, right? Have we discussed it to completion yet? My point is, don't get angry at people because, oh, I already read that. Or get angry and call people transphobic. Everyone washouts love each other. We do not have to agree. See, that's the fucking thing, though, is when I'm calling someone transphobic, it's for saying some transphobic shit. It's not because they just ask a question about trans people. It's because they say some, like, transphobic shit. And I am of the opinion that my time is better spent calling people out for what they are than trying to convince every single one of them individually that they are wrong in their position. In order for me to want to spend that time with you, you have to show me that your heart is open to that. You have to show me that you are not so fucking you have to show me that you're not so fucking hell-bent on your ego and the expression of your willpower on everyone else, that your heart is closed. And if I believe your heart is closed, I don't want to try and convince you with civility and kindness that my position is correct and yours is wrong, because it's pointless when it comes to someone like that. There's something deeper to the reason why they oppose it, and you are going to have to get to know them a long time before you ever come down to that. And I ain't got time or mental energy to know every motherfucker on the planet like that. So that's why I reserve the attention and time that I spend on trying to show someone a better way, so to speak, or explain why bigotry and hatred is a bad way to engage in a social situation. The only way I want to spend that kind of time is if someone shows to me that they are willing to hear that message, that they are in a place where they are able to consider that sort of thing with an open heart and an open mind. Because at that point, yeah, I might not convince you, that's fine, but at least I don't feel like my time has been wasted. At least I feel like I planted a seed. At least maybe the next time you have a conversation, maybe they'll explain it better, and you'll think, I guess that's what that person was trying to say. You know what I mean? It feels like a more productive conversation at that point. Do more music videos. You definitely have a talent. Thank you. I really do need to do some more music. I want to. I need to get me a good camera, and I need to get me a good audio setup. And once I have that, I definitely want to start doing some more music stuff on YouTube. But some other stuff that's got to get lined up before I can do that. So I respect your lifestyle, just not going to call you what you want. See, that's the thing. It's like, it's not a lifestyle. It's a fucking, it's just an aspect of my personality. Fundamentally, it doesn't change all that much about how I was living before. I'm just open about the associations that the things I do and the clothes I wear have with gender, right? Like, and I prefer a specific set of pronouns that are based on the fact that we have a false binary imposed kind of on most of the society. And so I feel more comfortable in one of those camps than the other. But really, the issue of gender does not matter all that to me. Really, like, I don't know. I've always taken umbrage with people calling it a lifestyle, because that makes it sound like it makes it sound like CrossFit or something. Like it's something that you can go in and out of, or um, something that you do for a while every day and then stop, or I don't know. But the truth of it is that it's usually kind of an amalgamation of um, self-image, philosophy, and um, someone's perception of how they want to be perceived by other people. You know what I mean? Like, it's a pretty complex thing, and it's also a thing that trans people really don't spend a whole lot of time talking to, or talking about with people that are outside of the trans community. Like, trans people, two other trans people will talk about the intricacies of being trans and the intricacies of gender theory and shit, but people outside of that community don't really ever get much exposure to that shit. And so, I don't know. In any case, I think you might understand what. Okay. Here's why being respectful, quote unquote, of a trans person, but refusing to call them what they want or whatever. Here's why that is inherently still not respect. The name that I have picked and the pronouns that I use are simply an element of my existence as a social creature. One second. Damn it. I had to respond to a text. Anyway, what were we talking about? Yeah, your camera for lives is not great. You would have more viewers if you could so I'm in the countryside. I could be out in the countryside right now. I might as well. I'd go outside. We could be outside right now. That would be fun. It is actually forced down the Americans' throat. No disrespect. Both men and women are forced to be called cis. Like, what? It makes no sense and is being forced upon people who do not agree. I'm sorry that you're too retarded to understand where root words come from. That is not my problem to litigate, though. Sorry, bud. Not my problem. Trans people did not invent the term cisgender. Medical professionals invented the term cisgender to differentiate between transgender. And the reason why you take umbrage with that is because you would just like to be called normal, right? Because you want to make some freakish designation for trans people, right? You don't like the term cisgender, and you feel like it's being shoved down people's throats, which it's not. Literally, it's not. Literally, it isn't. It's just a term that exists. You can refuse to use it all you want. It doesn't matter. How often do most people even have the opportunity to say cisgender? Until you brought it up, nobody had even said it in this entire stream, and I'm a trans person. If anybody should be shoving the word cisgender down your throat, it should be me, right? But I didn't. Why? Wonder why. Why? So, nobody's shoving anything down your throat. I think it's interesting and kind of revelatory that that's the imagery and that's the words that people like this always use to describe what's happening between the queer community and Americans broadly. You know what I mean? It's never there's never any other phrase used. It's always, you're shoving it down our throats, right? it really does paint a provocative image, doesn't it? So no one's shoving anything down your throat. Cis literally just means same. It means it's kind of analogous to the prefix homo. Same. It literally just means same gender. It means cisgender just means same gender. Like, if you translate it as a medical term, it means a person who is comfortable with their gender identity as assigned at birth. Why is that insulting to you? Is it because you use trans as an insult? Is it because you look at trans people as being an inherently insulting kind of existence? Like, what is it? I think it speaks to their own insecurities, to be honest. It 100% does speak to their own insecurities. That's all it speaks to. Same gender male, same gender woman. Yes, exactly. Yes, it does. It does to people who aren't so retarded that they missed the fucking Greek and Latin prefix lessons in their early English classes. Yes, it does make sense. I know that it doesn't make sense to you because you fell asleep during those classes in school, but to me, to somebody who graduated with college credits in math, or I'm sorry, not math, but English, it makes a great deal of sense, actually. Yeah. I can't help that the education system failed you so deeply, but I can perhaps give you some, I can give you some analogs to other words that use the same sort of structure, right? So let's see. Let's think here. Transcontinental. Do you think the word transcontinental is like a secret queer word? Do you think trans people made up the word transcontinental? Do you think the Transcontinental Railroad was a railroad manned by nothing but trans people? How do you explain the word transcontinental? It's got that scary word in it. And what it means is across continental. It doesn't mean cross-continental. It means across. It means to trans as a prefix means moving. It means movement. It means change, right? So transcontinental could be translated as change continental or move continental. Does that make any sense? Oh, we found some massive flaw in the English language. Retard. Traverse, to go to one thing to another. So it means to go to one thing to another continental. So it means to go to one thing from another continental railroad. That doesn't seem grammatically correct either, my friend. So what you're saying is that you grasp the concept of Greek and Latin prefixes when used in other words, but when used in a word that you have been convinced to have some issue with, then suddenly it's a big problem. Suddenly it's something you personally need to be offended by. You see how fear has been manufactured in your heart? You see how hatred has been manipulated in your brain? One continent to another, read up. You're the one who needs to read up. You're the one who literally acts like cisgender is a word that we invented last year, bro. Don't tell me to read shit, motherfucker. Hello, Ariella. What's it going? What you doing? What's it now? I can't help that. Your mother and father failed you so deeply. I don't know that they agree, but I guess random retard that's fucking anonymous on the internet can have whatever opinion they want to, and the absence of actually being here to fucking say that shit to my face, right? I'm saying scroll up. I don't want to. I'm happy with our conversation being fractured. I don't care enough about what you have to say. Look in the mirror. Fear and manipulation is in your heart. Fear and manipulation is in my heart, but not in the way you think. I think it's all made up. No, Chad Remister, some retard from the fucking backwater of fucking America, thinks all this shit's just made up because they're too stupid to understand the roots that it has. Color me shocked, man. Color me fucking shocked. Let's see how free you feel once Trump becomes the dictator you deserve. See, this is what I was talking about when I said that. I've been saying for years that the scariest thing about Trump's presidency would be Trump's supporters, because they're all fucking Nazis. And there you go. You've got a perfect example of it. You know what I mean? There's somebody who is finally admitting that this whole time they've been their tiny little pecker to the idea that trans people and gay people and Mexicans and black people are all going to get rounded up into camps. You know what I mean? There's somebody that's been just literally jerking their cock for months about how people are going to be oppressed and killed under their president, and yet arguing out of the other side of their mouth that that's not how they feel. I'm going to do something real quick that's going to clean up the chat a shit ton. Let's see here. Let's see here. There we go. Now, welcome to the channel. If you'd like to continue talking in this chat, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because I'm no longer willing to listen to the stupid skibbity shit that transphobic motherfuckers with nothing more to say than hatefulness and bigotry have to say. So if you want to continue watching, make sure, or well, not watching, you can continue watching all you want, but if you want to continue chatting, make sure you hit that subscribe button and wait 5 minutes to be able to chat. And now let's look at how fucking wonderful the chat becomes. Let's look at how much more sensible it becomes. Phoebe, as assumed Democrat, did you feel gone elitist? Seems that's a big issue with them for me. I think what you're asking is, did you feel like, or do I feel like elitism was a big issue for the Democrats? And honestly, I feel like it is a pretty big issue for the Democrats. Yeah, I feel like the fact that Democrats have been talking over the heads of the average American is a huge problem. I was talking about this earlier. Dude, Kamala Harris could have won. There were 4 fucking states in the Midwest. I was looking at them last night on stream. 4 states in the Midwest that if Kamala Harris had won those states, if she'd spent the billions of dollars that she had, won from campaign contributions, right? If she had spent like half of that in a few states in the Midwest and the South, she could have ran away with this presidency, but she just wasn't willing to work on those people. She wasn't willing to work on her own fucking perception. People just cannot help but look at Kamala Harris and see a rich bitch who has slept her way to the top and managed to fucking stay in political power despite being generally disliked and clearly addicted to Xanax. And that just don't sell in the South, dude. We want politicians to cut a little better jib. You know what I mean? We want them to cut a smoother silhouette than that. You know? Like, you can have a bunch of problems and still get elected in the South and the Midwest, but we want to be halfway decent, halfway line decent. And we fucking see that in Kamala Harris. And she wasn't willing to do the hard work that would have required on her personality, on her perception of other people. She would have required a shit ton of work, and she would have had to make the Democratic Party's rhetoric towards the South and the Midwest change. Because right now, people that vote D tend to look down on people that live in the rural parts of this country. And that needs to change if people are ever winning those votes. Like, I don't know how to these people in the fucking rural areas are still having kids, and the rural areas are starting to get more and more little towns and little population centers, and pretty soon you're going to really have to start getting with them block. Or you already do. This election is proof of it. If you want proof that the DNC is now going to have to consider rural Americans pretty heavily in their list for future elections, look at this election. It was fucking carried by the swing states in the fucking South and the Midwest for Trump. Every single fucking state that, like, okay, so pretty much the only states that went for Kamala were states that pretty much everybody knew were going to go for Kamala. Illinois, Colorado, New Mexico, California, Oregon, Washington, Massachusetts, etc. Right? She got those fucking basic baseline built-in Democratic strongholds, but every other fucking state she lost not only did she lose them, a lot of them she lost by a fairly significant margin. And that just shows that this fucking country is, like, you're not, the overwhelming will of the coasts is no longer able to, suppress or override the will of the, internals of America. The inner core of America still has a lot of sway and a lot of say in how things go, and you still have to consider them as part of your election, calculus. And I think you're going to have to start considering us more and more. And that's going to mean figuring out, like, the Democrats are going to have to relearn how to make a working class argument for working class people for the Democrats. Because right now, people see Democrats as the party of college graduates and business, like middle management business people and software developers. They see it as like this elitist, distant party from the people, and people that work everyday jobs and live everyday lives, people bottom end of the economic spectrum, people like the people that represent the vast majority of the human beings living in the South and Midwest, are never going to be convinced to vote for people that they perceive as being nothing like them, as having none of their interests. They just aren't that stupid. I'm sorry. Yeah, a lot of Trump votes, probably ordinary people who feel disenfranchised. Yeah, those are some pretty good takes. Are you talking about rain time? I mean, rain time's always predictable. Train coming. Train's coming again. Yeah, rain time's always reasonable. And yeah, I think a lot of Trump voters were just ordinary people who feel disenfranchised. I think that if there were really as many hardcore Trumps as the people in here earlier were trying to make it seem like there are, I think that there would have been more of them in here. I think that there would have been like a couple of hundred people in here telling me how I'm cooked after this election, how Trump is gonna fucking ride in on a golden wave and all this shit. I think it was just a lot of ordinary motherfuckers that looked at the last 4 years and said, Kamala Harris has been VP all this time, and she's had plenty, and obviously she's the one that's got more power between her and Biden because Biden's fucking gone. So why hasn't she done any of the shit that she's talking about wanting to do? Why hasn't her name come until the last month? And people are like, fuck it, Trump. I remember buying my house during his presidency. I remember getting rental during his presidency. Whatever the case may be, people remember a little bit on under Trump. Whether I think he had shit to do with that or not aside, people remember that, and that I think is going to lead, or I'm sorry, that is what I think led to people going for Trump in such massive numbers. I think it had nothing to do with the maggots being a particularly powerful political force. I think it had to do with disenfranchisement with the current regime. That's all. That is a very American sound, the train. Yeah, dude, it's because we've got like mile-long freight trains here, dude. It's pretty cool, but it's pretty insane, yeah. I imagine you guys don't have it like that in Ireland. Because, like, how long do you really need a train to be in a country that can only produce so many goods, you know? But in America, dude, we've got mega factories that are probably the size of a small Irish town. I mean, like, it's just the same. I live in dystopia, and that's all. That's really the answer here, because I live in a dystopia. But yeah, very American sound, very American view. Ireland's tiny, the size of Rhode Island. Dude, I didn't know that. I literally did not know that Ireland and Rhode Island are comparable in size, dude. That just goes to show you do not have to have a huge country to have fucking culture pouring out of your country fucking 10 different ways from Sunday, dude. You do not have to have a massive country to have a super culturally active country. And that is one of the that is one of the things I love most about Ireland. It's just the fact that you guys put off such a potent and loud culture. Let me see. Yeah. So yeah, but those were some pretty good takes. And yeah, I think Trump people, I'm sure account for like 30% of his vote or something. But I don't think there's that many fucking Trump people in here. Honestly. Not in here in general. I mean, like in America. I think that there's like a bunch of average people that were just like, fuck it, I don't have any particular fucking allyship towards the Democrats, which, why would they? What have the Democrats done? Like, that's, okay, here's something we can talk about, right? Why have the Democrats not tried to do any fucking grassroots organizing in 8 years? Because I'm telling you, dude, like, imagine the Democrats decided the best way for us to win elections is to become an on-the-ground, grassroots kind of like organizing institution. We need to adopt some IWW tactics and shit, and we need to start helping people make their neighborhoods better, not just legislatively, but actively. You know what I mean? Like, have Democratic operatives dedicate like 12 hours a week towards establishing community programs in the communities that they live in. You know what I mean? Like, make the Democratic Party something that people become familiar with and want to join because it's best way, because it's the instrument that's helping the people near them. You know what I mean? Like, imagine that. And I don't think that would be construed as buying votes either. If it's just like this political party also engages in direct action and community activism, I think that could be a really good way for the Democrats to begin getting some more support built back up for them. But I don't think that sort of transition is ever going to come from the current Democrats. I don't think that they're capable of realizing how fucking far they've drifted from what they're supposed to be, from the ideal version of them that I think people think of when they think of the DNC. You know, like, ideally they should be helping the people. You know what I mean? It should be like old unions, for example. Labor unions will still do this. They will pay for they'll have like a union hall that you can use for community organizations and and shit or wedding or whatever. And they've got like a little playground on stuff. And sometimes they will the union will sponsor the building of a new bridge or the building a new sidewalk or something. And they will get credit and a little plaque or something somewhere on the park or the sidewalk or whatever it is they help to sponsor. And that's one of the ways in which unions do this very subtle form of advertising and subtle form of proof that this method works, proof that this organization gets shit done in your community and that it uses its money for good. The DNC needs to start doing that. They need to do that over the next 4 years, and then the most important thing they need to do if they really want to win this next election is the DNC needs to get over this idea of running old ladies and old men and run a young, vibrant, like 39-year-old candidate. I don't care what gender they are, but they need to be young. They need to be young, and they need to be brilliant. They need to be fucking young and brilliant, and they need to be uncompromising in their principles and positions. And the DNC needs to be dragged that way over the next 4 years and not kowtowed to. Because if we continue to just let the DNC rule the party however they see fit, if we continue to let party leaders just act on their own fucking behalf, then you're going to continue to see the results of that, right? You're going to continue to see what happens when people are acting entirely in their own interest. Politics in general, even here in Ireland, less community-based and more professional politicians. Would you get involved in politics? I wouldn't get involved. I would not get involved in politics under the current infrastructure, right? With the way things are right now, no, I don't want to be involved in the DNC, and I certainly don't want to be involved in the RNC. I don't want to be involved in those organizations because I don't see them doing any actual work for the people on the ground, for the people that have to deal with the policies of politicians. Because I don't see any of that work being done, I don't want to vote for them. I don't want to be involved in their fucking organization. I don't want to give them not a dollar, not a dime, not a moment of my time until something changes. What I would be willing to do is to participate, and I'm hoping that over the next year I can increase my participation with the IWW in my area. And I don't want to talk too much about that, but I'm hoping that I can increase my presence there. And I honestly want to. I don't think I could ever start a big political movement, right? I don't have enough people behind me. I don't have enough exposure to enough eyes, right? But I want to look into all the different political parties that are running right now and all the different organizations that are also political parties. Like, look into any of these organizations and see, are any of them the way I'm describing? Oh God. Are there any political parties that focus heavily, primarily, even, on what is IWW? It stands for the Industrial Workers of the World. But what I want to see if there's any kind of organization out there that already kind of does what I'm talking about, like finds projects that need to happen in communities and makes them happen, and join that. And if nothing like that exists, then I want to get like 7 or 8 people together with hopefully more clout than I have, and really talk about like, here's like, could we do this, because in my fucking visionary mind, right? Well, visionary in the sense that I try and imagine, you know what I mean? I don't mean that I am a visionary. I'm just saying that I try to imagine, right? I try to be imaginative. And in my imaginative brain, I think of this, of starting a movement that is both a community activism organization, and which means labor activism as well, a community activism organization, and a political organization. Work that tackles, right, a labor party for the United States, something like that. No, Labor Party probably is not the terminology to use, but something like that, that does more than just campaign, that does more than just tabling and stuff like that, that actually puts a lot of weight towards making things better in the communities that they're a part of, right? And ultimately marshals its strength together into something stronger than itself and marches on Washington for a list of like 5 demands, right? Medicaid for all, the nationalization of housing, the complete replacement, refurbishment, and rehabilitation of our infrastructure, criminal justice reform, and what was the 5th one? What was the 5th one? Oh no, I'm forgetting the 5th one. Whatever, I guess it can have 4 demands. Anyway, I forgot about the 5th one. But so ideally though, I envision some kind of movement that combines the strength of unions in America and just general leftists who aren't able to join a union or something, right? And they kind of combine all this strength, right, and use it towards massively changing how this country works in terms of local politics and what's expected from a neighborhood. And after you've got that base of strength established, we marshal that strength together to perform what is basically a general strike, you know? Oh, I remember what the fifth demand was. Labor law reform in this country. To, like, there would be sub demands in all these, you know what I mean? Like there would have to be some kind of manifesto that's like 2 pages long or something and just describes what each of these things is meant to do, why each of them is important, etc. And that would need to be distributed widely. But yeah, just labor law reform would be the fifth one, just making it so that companies have to take a deal eventually, making it so that you can't just cancel a union because you've made them wait to one, you know what I mean? Making it possible for companies to union bust, you know what I mean? That would be the biggest, one of the biggest steps that I would want to take with that larger movement. In reality, probably only one of these is possible, but both of them I think would be necessary to really improve the situation here and really turn things around. And I think the sad thing is that that's so unlikely, right? You don't need to start a movement, you just need to get closer to the one and only. Get out of here, Christian. Paul taught me what unions can do for us as workers. Dude, that's one of the things that I love about Paul's advocacy, is that I feel like he has done that for a lot of people. But luckily for me, my grandfather was a union laborer. And so I got to see the type of shit that he had and the beauty of the home that he had. I got to see what it really means to have a good union job for a long time. My grandpa had amazing skill at his craft and was dedicated to it and loved it. And he was paid incredibly well, to the point where they had the biggest house in their neighborhood for years. I don't know if it's been surpassed yet. It might still be the biggest house in their neighborhood. And it started out as a tiny little house that looked like all the other ones. They had a big ass motorhome the entire time I was a kid. They got rid of it pretty recently, I think, because they just didn't use it that much. But they've had, at one time they had that house. They had another house on the lake. So they had a little lakeside house. It wasn't exactly lakeside. It was like across the road. There was like this little gravel road that went right by the lake, and then they were on that side of the road. But it was like a 40-foot walk to the lake, and you could see the water from that shit. It was cool. So they had those two houses. They had a pontoon boat and a slip at a marina. They had houses, so that's 4 pieces of property already. They had a pull behind fifth wheel trailer. They had a motorhome, and at one time they had a fucking regular pull behind. So they literally had a camper for every situation, a pontoon boat, a slip to put it in at the marina on a nice river, and 2 different houses, one of which they were trying to sell, but still. All of this shit on the benefits of union labor. All of this shit on the back of my grandfather working his ass off for a union and being rewarded well for his work. All of it. Every single piece of it bought on the back of his faithful service with his union. That is what they do for us. And so when I heard Paul really start to ramp up his union kind of, like, how do I put it? When I heard Paul start to really ramp up his union rhetoric, it made me feel really good, and it still makes me feel really good whenever he talks about it, because to me it's like so natural that someone should advocate hard as fuck for that, because that's how you fucking escape your job being drudgery, is by getting your job a union. Phoebe, do a stream or video on this. Sounds interesting. Wonder how it would work in the U.S. where individualism is promoted and respected. You mean do a video on like unionization and shit? Because I mean, I've been kind of doing a stream on labor rights and shit right now. I mean, I've been doing a stream about the election and how that's really not the way that we proceed forward. But I think you might mean like a video about my idea for a movement that could coalesce. And I do agree. Maybe I could do a video about that, or even like a video about how important it is that people remember the union argument and that people remember how important labor advocacy is. But I would need to write that video for sure. I would want to write it to make sure that I don't have any of these inconvenient little stops. So I'll get on that. Yeah, I'll think about that. What the fuck are you talking about? Don't you have a job to be at? I don't know. Don't you? Mando SC? What the fuck are you talking about? Don't you have a job to be at? A video on your movement with the 5 goals? Yeah, that would be a good idea. I think I'll start working on that. Not right now, but yeah. Hell yeah, Mr. Flower fucking nuked his ass. Out of here, bitch. Get the fuck out. But yeah, I do need to make a video about that idea. Yeah, dude, I need to do that. You know what? I don't know how I'll promote it, but I do. I do. I need to do that video. I need to make it look nice. And then, yeah. I'll have to figure out a good way to do this. That'll be something to think about. The best way to film this, right? Because my camera is not very good in the house, neither is my mic, but I think it's good enough to make a video. Whatever, it's going to look like it was shot in 2008, but who cares, right? Should still be able to hear me as long as I make things quiet enough in the room. And honestly, the hardest part would be reading the script, but maybe there's some way I can make it not so difficult. Goddamn right. You should stream more. Well, I do stream pretty often. I did a desktop stream on the kind of some election coverage last night. It was historically underviewed for one of my streams, but most of my desktop streams are. I don't know. Like, I don't know if people just don't get the notifications for my desktop streams or what the case is, but they're just not very well viewed typically. But I'm hoping to change that if I start scheduling them and doing them regularly. And fingers crossed, I think I got most of the technical shit done last night and down, and now most of what I need to do is just updating my setup and doing a little more planning and getting a regular schedule down. So yeah, I'm planning on starting to do 3 probably like weekly streams, three a week. And currently I'm thinking like Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. But I don't know if that'll end up being the case. It might be like Monday, Thursday, Sunday, or like Monday, Thursday, Saturday. Give me like a day between each one. And I want to do these mobile streams more often anyway. And I have been for the most part. I've been doing them not every night, but I've been doing them about every other night, I'd say. So videos allow people to catch up, see channel content, just clip streams, save your work. Yeah, that's true. I could be clipping some things from these streams. Dude, I should do that. I should go through some of these streams and try and find good moments and turn them into videos. I could totally do that. Yeah. Yeah. Do you game on your PC? Yeah, Not as often as I would like because my computer is not super fucking capable. But I mean, it is a gaming computer. It's just a low end gaming computer. So, but yeah, it'll run Battlefield 4 great, and I play a lot of BF4. I was playing a lot of War Thunder for a while, and I still play that sometimes. But I stopped for a while because it's kind of hard. It was kind of hard to play on the TV, and now I've got my monitor set back up, so I can play it on the monitor again. So I'll probably get back into PC gaming now that I've got my setup back up and working again. You don't want to come with me as I do some stuff around the farm? Oh man, I guess I'm back in the algorithm again. Look at that. Looky there. Looky there. I played War Thunder on my Xbox recently because I got Wi-Fi here. It kind of sucked, but it's a good time killer. Oh, dude, if you play War Thunder, you got to add me. 100%. Add me on Discord so I can add you on War Thunder, and we'll play some War Thunder together because it's cross-platform. So even if you're playing on Xbox 360 or whatever, Xbox One, doesn't matter. Xbox One X literally does not matter. I can play with you on PC because it's all one server, as far as I know. Hell yeah, love to see it. Yep. War Thunder's a fun game though. It is one of those games that kind of demands skill. If you suck at that game, I mean, it's not like you can't learn it, but it's one of those games that will, there's no cheats for making it work if you're not good at it, if you don't centrally get the idea of it. There's no way to make it work for you, so to speak. Let me put my phone in my gimbal. Okay, I think that's righteous. There we go. Okay. Hell yeah, sounds like a plan. As soon as I hop off the stream, I'll hit you up on Discord. Hell yeah. Phoebe, I gotta go. Keep up the work. You have a fun channel. We'll see you on live again. We'll be watching your videos. Well, hell yeah. Thanks, Rain Time. You're always cool to see in here. Like I said, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think it's really cool that I have an Irish that watches me. Okay, so the air battles I'm still learning. Yeah, air battles in War Thunder are not exactly the easiest thing. They require a greater learning curve than the tank battles generally, because you've got to really master you've really got to master leading if you're going to play air battles in War Thunder. Whereas that's a way less important skill if you're playing ground vehicles. You don't usually have to worry about it too much. But if you're playing air battles, you 100% have to worry about the leading aspect. You have to worry about shell trajectory and all that shit. And that requires more time to master. I've still not quite fully mastered it, even though I've been playing since War Thunder was in beta. So I've been playing for like 12 years or something. No, not quite 12 years. It's been about 10 years. 10 or 11 years. I've been playing for a long ass time though, and I still have not quite gotten the hang of air battles. But some people are fucking great at it. I think it just depends on like the matter of precision with which you're able to manipulate the controls. And I have never been a particularly precise person when it comes to the controls of games. Those woods are very pretty, and I'm sure they would be a good place to go read a book. I've never tried it, but I'm sure they would be. But yeah, in tank battles, honestly, the thing that'll help you the most, in my experience, for tank battles is just familiarizing yourself with the way tanks actually work. Because War Thunder has a comparatively realistic system for assessing damage and shit like that. Um, so, and you know what? I'm going to get closer than that actually. Because War Thunder has a comparatively realistic system for handling that kind of thing, you you are well served by knowing where the weak spots are on a tank in general and on specific tanks specifically. So, for example, a BT-7 has weak armor everywhere. If you shoot it with anything bigger than a 50 cal, you will pierce its armor pretty much no matter where you hit. But if you are trying to ensure a kill, you should make sure that you're not hitting the edges of the armor if you can help it, and the mantlet of the gun. That's always a bad place to aim in 99% of cases. You should be aiming for things like the driver's door or the side paneling leading up to the crown of the vehicle or the area where the axles meet. Um, Knowing little historical tidbits like that, knowing how these tanks worked and how they function, will actually help you in War Thunder in a way that it won't help you in a lot of games. And so, yeah. I played a lot a few years ago. I just got back into it on a new account, so I'm fresh starting. I've had to do that so many times in War Thunder. I've got a really fucking successful account somewhere on that fucking website, but I have no idea what it's associated with anymore. No fucking clue, so I just don't have access to it anymore. But I've gotten pretty far on this one that I've got started so far. On the account that I've got right now, I've got most of the German tech line unlocked. And, well, not most of it, but I've got most of the early German tech line unlocked. And a good bit of the US tech line unlocked as well. So, things are going well for a new playthrough. And that's how it goes sometimes when you have to restart a game, dude. You know? In MMOs like that, you don't always get to preserve your progress, sadly. Sometimes you can't remember that old password. Sometimes you lose an account. Eventually, I'll get all this shit rigged up into a big pile, and then it won't be so difficult to manage. And I can haul most of it out of here. But yeah. Let's see. Let me look at the chat again. Oh. Didn't realize it was that technical. In air battles, I'm using the German line as well. Just the best planes in the game. I personally liked the Italian line a lot, but a lot of people are huge fans of the German line. And yeah, it's a super fucking technical game. That's one of the things that I always liked about it, is the fact that for what is essentially supposed to be a battle simulator, it's actually pretty technical and realistic in terms of, if you know a historical weak point, it's probably reproduced in War Thunder. I'm going to think of one off the top of my head, but oh, okay, I got one. Like the on the M4 Sherman, there were little I don't know how to put it. They're little things, for lack of a better word, on the frontal armor where the driver and the radio operator sat, and um, I guess would have been the bow gunner in that vehicle actually, but there were um, two little uh, kind of bumps in the hull that were meant to provide more room, but from my understanding, were actually just big weak points. And if you shoot at the right models in the game, if you shoot the right versions of the Sherman, you will actually see those uh, weak points being exploited by players. Honestly, I think it's time for me to get over and shovel some of the stuff off into it. Oh, and where to put it? I suppose the compost pile will have to do. But I could probably make a sizable number here and stuff out here if I did that. It does look it's still very barren, but what can I do? It hasn't rained in a month. I think I'm fixing to eat and listen to that Brett video and eat when I'm done. If you're still streaming, I'll hop back on. I'll text you on my tag on Discord. Sweet, yeah, go ahead. It'll yeah. I'll get your message and I'll add you on War Thunder and I'll add you on Discord as well. And for now, I'm gonna probably go back to talking about, I don't know, maybe I'll just talk about plans for the farm or something. I don't know. Who knows what I'll talk about. If anybody in the chat has any ideas, put them in and I will get to them the next time I pick up the phone. See, I'm kind of at a loss here, right? Because what do I do from here? I think the first thing I do is put my glasses to stick on my head again, which is like a 7 times daily chore. Okay. Split this. Man, there's so much leaf litter and detritus in this. It is insane how much shit has just accumulated here over the years from not being tended. See, optimally, we'd be picking up sticks out of here all the time and raking it like twice a year, but because it was able to grow up so far and so hard, it's and for so long, it's left us with this huge kind of mess of organic material. But on the other hand, that is going to make a lot of good compost over the years. A lot of it should take forever to actually experimental. It'll take like 5 or 6 years to really get to the point where it's useful soil, but that's okay. We've got time, you know. Oh God, damn it. Check back in with the chat. Okay. Cool. Oh, ow. Anyway, I guess I'll move y'all closer because y'all probably can't hear me very well from all the way over here. So I'll move you guys next to this nice little collection of plants. Nice little collection of plants. Damn it. I'm so sweaty. My glasses don't want to stay on my face. I'm just going to set them down. That'll be fine, right? Oh. Man, I sure am glad it's fucking 80 degrees even though it's November. That's cool. Damn it. I'm afraid to wipe anything with my shirt because my fucking cat insists on jumping on me every time it's fucking around me. So my fucking shirt is covered in cat hair. So if I wipe my face with it, I'm just gonna get cat hair all over my face. Wonderful, isn't it? Ow! God damn it. Oh, I hate briars. Why does every plant have to be short? Why does every plant want in its fucking heart of hearts to be sharp? the answer here might just be getting like a wet towel, maybe. And changing shirts. Okay, let's see here. I think I'm gonna need to switch shirts. I'm gonna need to switch fucking shirts. Because I'm dying. I literally feel like I'm dying. No, not literally, but oh my god. It's just fucking humid out here, and the sweat does not want to fucking evaporate, and I'm thirsty, and I think I'm just gonna call it, actually. You know what? I'm just gonna call it. Y'all have a good night.